I am into Pantoja, and I am going to speak to you in a coded language. And sometimes it takes one to know one. And sometimes you got to speak the language to know what somebody else is saying with you. That is how gangsters communicate, in case somebody's tapped their call. It is a risky game. And you can play it, but you can generally only play it for so long. That is a very risky game. And with risk can come really great reward. And I must tell you, Pantoja is awesome. You take the risk, you take the choices, you set those aside, you look at a finished product. Pantoja is awesome. Not to mention, he is saving an entire division. 125 has been on a chopping block for a period of time. And Demetrius has now set records, and it's thank goodness he did. Because now you have something to talk about. You have something to reflect to. You have records that are set so that other people can come in and try at least to beat them. And thank goodness for Henry Cejudo. But thank goodness for Pantoja. Really, that division needs him in ways, and he doesn't have an equal. He doesn't. And as a matter of fact, if you were to look at his next opponent in Joshua Van, who's a complete stud, but that's how you'd have to talk about Van. You have to go, man, he's awesome, and he did all of these great things, and he's a legitimate contender, and what a great story, and he's 23 years old, and he went from 14 to number 1 in 3 weeks. Like, there's a story to tell, but do you see the difference? Do you see the difference in trying to tell a story by explaining that a guy was 14 and he took number 1, and he fought in 3 weeks, and he was in New York, and then he came out to Vegas, and do you see where it gets different? He knocked a guy down that was number 1 contender, and he did it with 5 seconds left, and he did it win a championship. I mean, do you see the difference in that versus a guy who's coming out and he's trying to be a star? Because that's what Pantoja's trying to do. And Pantoja should get credit for that. He comes from the ATT. And the ATT, as a coach that I appreciate possibly more than any coach that I've ever stood back and watched. Possibly. He would go into my top 5. His name is Conan Silveira. And Conan, first off, is just this awesome guy. But he sees things differently. He has a different mind. And in 2012, Conan makes it a rule at the American Top Team. And what they're doing, I mean, a lot of people can go to the American Top Team and do, and it's a real super gym, but they were bringing in a lot of Brazilians to the American Top Team. There's even a dormitories type situation where you can live there. You have somewhere to stay. You have somewhere to wash your clothes, go down, you train, like you can live there. But Conan would make it a rule. Whatever it was, hey, I need 2 weight room workouts a week. I need 2 private lessons with a boxing coach. I need 3 grappling workouts. I need 5 MMA workouts. Whatever it was. There was 2 times a week they were required to take English. This is in 2012. Conan understood, Coach Silveira understood that the sport was going in the direction of what is coined the entertainment era. And that came around about 2009. I'm the one that started it. Around 2009 is when we kicked that off. But it hadn't been there ever before, and it was just starting to get embraced, and the Fox deal was coming in, which ultimately led to the ESPN deal. So Coach Conan Silveira was very ahead of his time. He was very ahead. Like, you might hear that now and go, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. They're out there doing interviews, and interviews matter, and it's in North America. You might say that now. He saw this a decade plus ago. All right. So, Pantoja, being a Brazilian and coming through the American Top Team, I could only guess at some point got sat down and got the talking to by Coach Silveira. But even if he didn't get this from Conan himself, Coach Silveira himself, whoever he got it from Conan Silveira. So it still ties back to him, and I'm just sharing with you that Pantoja is coming out and he's doing so many things right. He wants to be a star. He wants to save that whole division. He wants looked at and respected as the greatest ever. He wants to step in front of Demetrius. He's willing to fight Demetrius today to prove it. But it's not an act. And he won't get as much credit for what he just did over Kaikar as he deserves from his previous fight, where he fought a guy whose name I can't produce, whose ranking in the organization did not exist because he had never fought in it before. The guy debuted in a world title fight, which you can only interpret as whoever brought this guy and made this fight would like him to beat me. There's no other way to interpret bringing a guy in from a different organization that's never done it before. And Pantoja dealt with it, and it pissed him off. Make no mistake, it pissed him off. Might hurt his feelings. Pissed him off, though. And it turns out he fights better when he's mad. It turns out, because he looked awesome. Then you take him against Kaikar. If you did not watch this fight, if you read about this fight, for example, or you read the result of this fight, you would be completely misled. You would think, well, this great grappler, he's one of them Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys, and he got him on the ground, and he... BS. Pantoja threw just as many punches at Kaikar as Kaikar threw at Pantoja. Now, Pantoja used a lot of those as distractions. He used a lot of those as setups. But Pantoja threw knockout stop. He threw angry, mean, spirited, really sharp punches at Kaikar. He threw just as many at him as Kaikar, the striker, threw back at him. I mean, these guys took to fighting. And Kaikar looked great. By the way, Kaikar is great. Kaikar's a great fighter. Now you have a question of, can a guy perform and can he bring his skills? Yes. That was a great version of Kaikar. There was nothing that went wrong. There was no injuries. There was no excuse going to that fight. That was him. He fought really well. It just turns out we got our answer. It turns out that under this skill set for this period of time, Pantoja is the best mixed martial artist in the world that can tip the scale at 125 pounds. That's it. There's nothing more to it. He gets his face off with Vaughn, and there was a big brother moment. There was a there was a big brother moment by Pantoja. See, this guy's a leader. He really is a leader. He's saving an entire division, but there was a really great moment. Joshua Van doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know that he's going to become the number one contender. He didn't know when he beat Royval that he just became the number one contender. He doesn't know that they're going to shower him up and throw him back in the octagon with one of the biggest stars in the world in Joe Rogan. He didn't know any of these things. So this whole whirlwind is happening. He gets in there, and he's so uncomfortable. There's this moment where they have their entire whatever they have. And Pantoja finally taps him. Like as the older, and Pantoja finally taps him and tells him, hey, you got to turn and face me. And then, look, put your hands up. Put your hands up. So Josh Mann is doing this sideways to him. He's doing it sideways. He's looking one way. Pantoja's over here. So finally, Josh Mann turns and they get the moment they need. They get the face off, but they only got it through the leadership of Pantoja. And for that, in front of everything else, he deserves credit.